now we're going to move on to The Hollywood Outsider, which is a podcast where every week we talk about movie and TV news, as well as review anything that's current, whether it be TV or film. And we have a topic that's on ours or listeners' minds each week. This is going to be a really, really brief episode. We're only going to talk about two big things, and we're going to tie them in to the remake portion that we talked about just a second ago. Is when it comes to remakes, Troy, are you listening?
I am. I'm looking for my notes.
Sheep. You're looking at sheep on your phone. I saw sheep.
No, they're potato chip sheep.
You're literally looking at sheep instead of...
I'm
okay.
good.
Well, that's okay. We have Amanda Sink here and Troy Heinrichs.
Who's kind of here.
I've never really been on the show.
What's that?
I've never really been on your host show except for once.
You have been on.
The TV episode.
But you've been on.
I filled in as a mystery
once.
person.
Yeah.
Twice.
And that was more than enough.
Because if it's 3 times, it's a lady.
Did you look at sheep while you were on that time? Because you won't be back if you're not paying attention. Okay, so when it comes to remakes, where is the line for you guys? And I'm curious, like those of you that are listening, where is the line for you? In terms of what films or kinds of films are you just against any kind of reboot or remake of?
Anything that is in a particular, like it works in that time frame. So like War Games, for example. Like even though we did it here on the podcast and there's talk about War Games getting remade, I think War Games is a movie where it's a product of its time and the environment that was going on when it happened. So because of that, something like that where it fits for when the story happened for what was going on in the greater ecosystem. Otherwise, it just doesn't work anymore today. Unless you change it completely where it makes it fit into the system today. Like either it's, androids or automated or AI or something kind of War Games. But then it's not War Games to me. War Games was truly the fear of computers taking over the world with nuclear weapons tied into it, which still exists, but don't really exist in the way they did in the 80s.
Okay. Amanda, what about you?
Classics that set the stage for cinema. So, for example, like Wizard of Oz.
I'm glad you said Wizard of Oz. I was really afraid you were going to say something from like 1995 as a classic.
No, I was going to go back further, but I didn't know how young it was going to be here. So. But yeah, movies like that where it changed how movies worked. It changed how we view movies. How, there's certain things that happened in that particular movie that changed the course of cinema. So those types of movies should not be touched. And Hitchcock movies, in my opinion.
I'm with you on Hitchcock. Yeah, when it comes to remakes, I don't like anyone touching anything with Hitchcock, especially a shot-for-shot remake, which is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. And it's one of those things where I think he is a filmmaker, for me, that has a very specific vision and a very specific practice. And all of his films feel like Hitchcock films. Very much like a Tim Burton movie feels like a Tim Burton movie. I just think people should leave those alone. Yes, they can be remade. Yes, they could probably do them completely differently. They could do The Birds. I think The Birds could actually be redone.
Well, Disturbia was kind of like a remake.
It was like Rear Window. Yeah, it was kind of like Rear Window, and they did a modern version of it.
And it wasn't as good by any means.
I like Disturbia. That was Shia LaBeouf before he went nuts.
But it's not Rear Window.
No, there is no Rear Window. There's only one Rear Window. So Hitchcock is big for me, and then Indiana Jones. I'm completely against the remake of Indiana Jones. I don't really care who they get, even if they got Bradley Cooper, which I think would be great at it. I just don't want them to touch it. It's a set of films, even the fourth one, that I think are timeless, priceless works of art, and just let them be. And I don't think you'll ever recapture that spirit. I just don't.
Gotcha.
Okay, so is there any movie for you that if it were remade, like maybe it hasn't been, or maybe it already has, and it really angered you that they touched it, and it came out and proved that they should not make a remake? Is there anything where you think, no, this is a movie where you say, absolutely not, I don't want anybody touching that movie, it's too precious to me? Amanda?
Well, I gave a couple of examples. It's not extremely old, but I think if anybody tried to remake Boondock Saints, I'd probably be out. The second one was hard enough to watch. And that was from the
second one.
No, it's not the same.
Not in a good way, but I like it.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I like it in like a broken,
I'm terrified
damaged
that they're doing
way.
a third. I'm terrified. If it even ever happens, because Troy Duffy just talks a lot.
Can I tell you a sad story about Boondock Saints?
Go right for it.
Anybody go to the Chicago Comic-Con just a few months ago? Or like Chicago Comic-Con? Anybody go to that?
Oh, I know where he's going.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. Yeah,
Wizard World.
Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, It's just very sad. But Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus both had tables here, and Norman Reedus' line was literally about 5 miles long. I mean, it was out the door, and Sean Patrick Flannery had like 3 people, and one of them, I'm pretty sure, was blind.
For anyone who doesn't know and just knows Boondock Saints, Sean Patrick Flannery hasn't done a whole lot except for like Saw, which nobody even remembers him in. And then you have Norman Reedus, who's doing Daryl in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So,
But it was almost like it was a very, very sad moment because, I mean, I like both actors, and I mean, they were right next to each other, and one has this really super long line, and the other one is almost forgotten. Yeah, it was kind of sad.
I think it's because that movie's kind of
But also kind of funny from a really mean, cynical point of view. I'm like, oh,
they just
you
didn't
know
want to
that at some point, because like 10 years ago, Sean Patrick Flannery was that guy. You know, he was Norman Reedus. So, I mean, it flipped. He was the up-and-comer, hot.
People just don't want to stand by him for fear of getting locked in a room with him and having him cut off their leg to get out.
That's possible. That's possible. Okay, and the other thing we're going to talk about, just real briefly, is that Daniel Craig he seems uninterested in playing Bond again.
Why would you play Bond when you're a stormtrooper?
When there's what?
When you're a stormtrooper, why would you play Bond ever again?
You're retarded. So he's been really hesitant to sign to play another Bond, even though he's done it 4 times. And the last time he was very, very adamant that he didn't want to do it again. But he was also just coming off a huge project. I mean, that was a huge project to take on.
To play a stormtrooper?
Spectre. Not to play a stormtrooper when he was in Spectre. And so I don't. It doesn't seem like he wants to return to that. But my question would be, do you think he should return? Like, we're going to talk about who we could picture as Bond, but I'm kind of curious, do you want Daniel Craig to come back, or do you think he's done enough, let him move on?
How many films total has it been now? 3?
4.
4? How many did Pierce do?
Pierce
3,
Brosnan
right?
did 5 or 6? 5 or 6? How many Bond movies did Pierce
4.
Brosnan go? Ty, do you know? 5? 5 sounds about right, before they just cruelly fired him.
How many did Clooney do? I'm just testing your Bond trivia right now. That's
What did you say?
I said, how many did Clooney do?
Not enough. He'd be a great Bond.
He could move on if he wanted to. I think the thing with Bond is that Bond is timeless, right? It's the concepts of Bond, not the character that plays Bond himself. There have been some dog dirt crap Bonds over the years, and people still watch the Bond movie. So if he wants to move on, I would say let him move on and let someone else have the chair, because all we want is more Bond movies. I don't care if it's with Daniel Craig or not.
Yeah, I was going to say it's definitely more generational. Like, each generation has their own version of Bond. So you have that ability to be able to change it through each era, through each generation for what's going on in that environment and society at the time that they're being made. He's on those projects. I was actually just listening to him on an interview from last year. He's on those projects for 8 months. And when he's doing those projects, he said during the day he doesn't have time to even go to his trailer.
Or the bathroom.
Probably not. But I mean, he's really putting in a lot of hours, and so he's not able to enjoy his life and he's taken a lot of time away from his own personal life, which, you get paid a lot of money being Bond, I'm sure, but if somebody doesn't want to be that person anymore, take on that role anymore, I think that relays into the movie, and we feel that as an audience. So if an actor or an actress doesn't want to pursue that role anymore, I say let somebody else take it over, or just not make them. But Bond is a movie genre that it's like its own genre.
It's like Doctor Who, where you have the different doctors and people just kind of adjust.
Right.
Yep.
The new doctor, it's like
How the Doctor gets replaced? Oh, yeah.
It's similar to that with Bond, where you just go, oh yeah, that Bond, oh and that Bond, and that doctor. And
Right.
I don't think people associate that with one specific person.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that. No, does
I'm good
Bond
with
have to
that.
be a certain age? Like, if they were to make a new Bond, does Bond have to be like mid-40s?
Well, I want to kind of go back to Amanda, to your point. You said every generation has a Slayer or something. And
see what you did there.
I mean, I can go
did a
along with
reference.
that if
No,
you'd like.
but so you're younger than we are, than Troy and I are. So when you look at Daniel
for
Craig, do you
yourself.
see him as James Bond, or do you think he's worn?
I do not. No, because I feel like my age bracket probably does, but my age bracket also doesn't look back at movies like I do. I go back and I watch where they come from, and I'm interested in how cinema has developed, but most people in my age definitely do not. So I feel like they probably associate him as Bond. You know, just like people who are around for Brosnan associate him as Bond. So that's why I'm saying it's more generational, because each generation is going to have their own Bond type. But the characteristics for Bond don't change. You know, when you look at someone, you can look at them and see if they would even be Bond.
Because the minute it's stirred instead of shaken, like the whole world blows up, right?
Pretty much. World ends.
Yep.
Interesting. One thing I will say is...
So back to my question.
Did you guys both say Spectre? Hang on a second. Did you both see Spectre?
Yes.
Yeah.
My opinion is that he's bored.
I think
he was.
He looked bored.
Yeah,
he
like
did not
Skyfall
look
was
interested, excited. I mean, he just looked like, I'm James Bond again. Here's my check.
Yep. Like Skyfall was here and Spectre was after the fall.
Well, and I don't even think he's in it
After the fall.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's in it for the money. I think he's just trying to appease the audience and not destroy the Bond name.
But it destroys the Bond name by phoning it in.
Right.
That's true. Good call.
So that's why I'm saying if he goes on for another movie, like he was already like 1 foot in, 1 foot out with the last one. If he did another one, we would know that he's not interested.
Correct.
Whatsoever. So why waste all of that money, first of all, and destroy that name a little bit, tarnish it.
Good point. Now, Troy, what was your question?
My question is, does he have to be a certain age? Is Bond age? Like, is it like a standard 45 to 55 kind of thing? Can he be 20?
No, not 20.
No, 20's, I think, too young. To be in that position, I think, would be kind of unbelievable. And plus, that's not James Bond. I feel like I'm a big believer in the literary creation.
He has the experience, too. So that's part of Bond. That's part of the characteristics that kind of keep him around. So if he doesn't have that life experience and everything, then it's not Bond.
Gotcha.
So he does need to have some, like maybe even mid-30s to mid-50s. That would be like, that's a more broad range for you. But beyond, like younger than that or older than that, I don't think it would work.
All right, so 35 plus. Got it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
so now we come to who should take his place. If he doesn't want to do
it. You didn't even hit that softball I just threw up there.
I don't know if it's a softball.
Why should he be this old? Because IMDb is taking away ages, and now we can't figure out who to cast in our movie. Wait, did I say that out loud?
I think they should be 30-40. That's kind of 30-40.
30-40 is what I said,
30s,
too.
40s is about what they should be.
Okay.
Plus, you want them to run for at least 3 or 4 movies. So,
right.
Yeah, you got to do that. So who exactly would you pick to be your James Bond if you could pick someone?
Tom Hiddleston.
He's kind of the fan favorite right now. Tell me why you think Tom Hiddleston's the guy.
Not even, obviously he's a great actor and he's very versatile, but he's also able to, like, when you look at him, he looks like Bond. He presents himself like Bond. I kind of thought about Tom Hardy for a couple of minutes, and then I looked at him.
So really you're stuck on Tom's. How about Tom Cruise?
Maybe. No. For anyone who knows me, I don't like Tom Cruise. His acting,
Did you say thank you? What's with the Cruise
very
hate?
few movies.
He's saving the world and he's running the whole time.
Top Gun is
Reacher's
like I can
gonna be
handle
awesome.
that, but
What's that?
thank you. He's the worst. But
Jack Reacher's fantastic. Few Good Men, fantastic.
Few Good Men is awesome.
right.
So you're saying
Similarly,
all the
like
movies
Julia
you were in are
Roberts.
good
I
despite
think better
him?
with my bat.
There's actually probably an argument for that.
There is.
Okay. what were you saying?
So Tom's. So
Yes.
anybody named Tom is good enough for her.
Tom, you may apply. But Tom Hardy, I thought about him for a minute. I looked at him, and I've seen him in his suit and everything, and I'm like, you know what? He just doesn't have the characteristics. He doesn't have the look of James Bond.
Be a dark James Bond.
He would, but he is not James Bond. You can look at every actor.
Mad James.
Almost every actor who's played Bond, and they all have a very similar distinction about them.
Mm-hmm.
So if
Okay.
they don't have that, are they really Bond?
Benedict Cumberbatch?
But he's too
I
known
feel
as
like he's too
Sherlock
nice.
at this point.
I think he would enunciate the hell out of it.
Yeah. And that was my question. That's my question is, does it have to be British? Because I said if you want to get someone that looks like Bond, you would go with like a Henry Cavill. Now, granted, he wasn't a great Superman, but he could be a great Bond.
He's not a great actor, though. Well, he's okay.
It depends on what he's in.
Idris Elba.
So, but if he didn't have to be British, then I said none other than Tom Bond.
What?
Ryan Eggold, Tom Bond.
Tom.
From-
Oh,
yeah.
Ron Eggold from the Blacklist.
just-
Now you're stuck on your own TV show.
Yeah,
no.
I just wanted to go with the Tom theory.
No,
I said
let me solve that for you. No.
Bradley Cooper would have been my Bond.
Bradley Cooper's good. Idris Elba's good too. Idris Elba's always good. My pick was Tom. There you go. Tom Ellis from Lucifer.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can see that.
I'm addicted to that dude. Tom Arnold? I'm
Any
in.
other Toms available that anyone would like to plug
Yeah,
for an
basically
opportunity
anyone
for
named
Bond?
Tom can apply. Thomas Jane. Thomas Jane can do it. He's great. Tom. Really? In case you didn't hear it, Tom Thumb. That's a little suggestion. Dun dun. Who's that?
All right.
Tom Hiddleston. Tom Hiddleston's. He could still be in it though. I mean, if he got a break from his contract in between the movies or something.
It'd be an
See,
8-month break
Yeah.
though.
I mean,
The whole point of Bond is that he can do anything. So
John Hamm. I like John Hamm.
That's a great idea.
Can I do the British accent? Can you get a?
right.
That's my British accent. It's
All right,
not
we
very
got to
good.
pick one because we only got 2
It's
minutes
terrible.
left. No.
So, Johns and Toms, we can do that.
He could be Q, but no.
That'll be it. All right. Well, I think our time is up. You can find, again, Remake This Movie Right and The Hollywood Outsider at thehollywoodoutsiders.com and remakethismovieright.com. And thanks, everybody, for listening. It's been fun. And what's next? $10,000. Okay. Well,
All right.
never mind. I'm just gonna hang up. Bye.
Well, from the Blue Box Cafe, Aaron,
Amanda, and Troy. Thank you very
Thanks so much.
Thank you.